Joining me now, Steve Cortes, a former senior advisor to President Trump and former senior media advisor to Senator Vance as well. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. So when you watch these press conferences of Donald Trump, are you getting frustrated?
You know, at times, Dan, listen, having worked in communications for President Trump for a very long time, I understand perhaps better than most the costs and the benefits of his very blunt communication style. But that directness, that's a two-edged sword because it also shows his authenticity, which really shines through to people, that he doesn't speak in a carefully crafted, almost lawyerly fashion. He's very direct with people, and they appreciate that. But there's a risk, of course, to that as well. And then the risk is that he goes to extraneous topics that are not beneficial to him and at times dives into insults. But I think when you compare Trump, both, again, with the costs and benefits, I'm trying to be very objective here about it. When you compare that and you compare his availability in terms of availing himself to the American people on a really regular basis, facing a tough and adversarial press, when you compare that to Kamala Harris, who is quite literally hiding, and when she does speak, even in controlled and scripted events, she uses buzzwords and meaningless platitudes. I firmly believe that the American people are going to appreciate Trump and ultimately focus on policy. But the more he sticks to policy, the better he's going to do.
But he doesn't even talk policy. He was given a layup there, right, on credit card debt. That's one of the issues, right, that Republicans want to talk about. They want to talk about how your dollar isn't worth what it was, how you got credit card debt. They want to talk about immigration. Trump was handed a policy layup, and instead he just says, well, the answer is you got to just vote for Trump. And that seems to me that's not going to help. And furthermore, I do think he is getting into dangerous territory with the amount that he's insulting Kamala Harris. Insult her policies, say she's wrong, say she doesn't, we totally disagree. But when he starts talking like this, and I'm going to play, this is just from the last press conference, you have to wonder, not only is this not helping, but is it hurting him? Let's listen.
Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world, frankly. Very destructive to the entire world because as we go, oftentimes the world goes. She destroys everything she touches. She's not smart. I don't believe she loves our country. And we cannot have our country destroyed because once that happens, it'll never be able to come back. She's running on the Maduro plan. We call it the Maduro plan, like something straight out of Venezuela or the Soviet Union.
Now, I understand that is Trump being Trump, right? And that's the defense that I hear. That is Trump being Trump. But considering where the polls have been going, could Trump being Trump be a losing strategy?
Well, listen, Dan, I think it's important, and I think the clips you played right there actually reflect exactly what I was talking about. He did talk policy, right? He did. He said she's broken the border because she, in fact, has. That the inflation that Americans are suffering, particularly middle-income folks, is her fault. She owns Bidenomics, as she's repeatedly stated. Now, he also, though, injected there, which was unneeded and I think unhelpful, that she's stupid. So I think you saw in that clip you played exactly what I'm talking about, that Trump does talk policy, and he has the winning edge on policy.
I apologize for interrupting. You think that's a discussion about policy, saying she broke the economy? That's a policy discussion? She's very destructive to the entire world? Be specific. Talk to us about why. I'm with you. It's a great issue. I'm not suggesting, oh, how dare. Of course he should be talking about it. But I'm just saying, to say she broke the economy, she broke the world, doesn't sound to me like a policy discussion.
Okay. Right, but also, listen, I watched that entire press conference, and again, I agree that there were extraneous moments that are unhelpful, certainly unneeded and probably unhelpful, but he also did talk a lot of policy. For example, on inflation, he talked specifically about energy, and we could play those clips, certainly, where he said the Trump energy policy was the exact opposite of the Biden-Harris energy policy, right? And that matters tremendously. It's not the only issue for inflation, but it's certainly a very big driver of inflation, especially food inflation, which is just vexing middle-income people in this country. So again, he talks policy. I could do without the add-ons and particularly personal insults. But again, too, this is a two-edged sword. These are the costs and benefits of Trump and Trump being so authentic. And that authenticity certainly has a great attraction, but it also brings with it a lot of risk. And again, I say that as somebody who has dealt with that and had to explain it, just like I'm doing right now, for many years.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.